Good day and welcome to On the Couch with Nomzamo, and thank you for tuning in. Did you know that close to 60% of South African children are growing up without a present and engaged father? Research shows that fatherlessness is the single biggest driver of violent crimes globally. By failing to father kids, South Africa has been growing in an army of dangerous men. We have the highest rate of rape and gender-based violence in the world. Our murder rate is almost 8 times higher than the United States of America and 37 times higher than the UK. On the Couch with Nomzamo believes that there is no greater nation-building imperative for South Africa than the restoration of its men, and in 10 fathers. Hence, this June we celebrate fathers of noble character, and through interviews such as today's one, we will highlight the beneficial role men play when they decide to be part of their children's lives, be present and engaged. Please welcome on the couch with me today, Mr. Malebo Rafoneke, a husband, father of 3 girls and 2 boys, who will take us through his journey and choices he had to make so he is the best father he can be to his children. Dr. Rafoneke, welcome to On the Couch with Nomzamo.
Thank you, Mia, for the invite.
Yes, please share with us who Malebo is as a father to his children.
It's an interesting question. I'm sure even the answers are different depending on which child you engage with.
Yeah.
I'm mommy's husband, as they say, and I'm daddy to them. They call me daddy. Even their friends also come, daddy. So I'm now known as daddy.
As daddy.
Yes, and it's the name or the title that I've gone to be fond of. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I'm mommy's husband, firstly. Then I'm daddy to the girls. I'm daddy to the boys, and also their friends as well.
And when you were thinking of getting married and then becoming a father, what picture did you have in mind? What kind of a father did you have a wish of being?
Hey, that picture has been changing over time. I think the picture I had of what a good father is, as one was growing up, was a picture that was mostly influenced by what mothers or women pictured a father to be. So before I could even start to see whether I need to have a relationship with my father, it was already implanted in me that if you are naughty, your father is going to discipline you. If you don't do well at school, your father will be involved. If you do something and you know that the father is going to be there, it normally ended up in tears. So that, as I grew up, was like, maybe there's a possibility that I can be a different father. Kids can come, when engaged, we become friendly, but not too friendly, but friendly enough for them to say, I've got a problem.
Yes.
So that's what I had in mind. So closer to me getting married, then I had a different picture. I wanted to be present. I wanted to change nappies. I wanted to do the bottles. I wanted to do everything that a woman could do as far as a father could be as well. So that was my picture. Then I became a father.
Take us through now the experience.
I think, firstly, it's the shock of change. That change can really shock you. At birth, I went there prepared that I was expecting, okay, you breathe, the dilations are so many minutes apart, and so the contractions, are so many minutes apart, and so on. So I was prepared. I had my textbook there. I was
textbook.
Yeah, and then the baby was born. Everything was fine. Now came the practical thing that I had in mind. How am I going to do this? Then the realization that this child has no reference point of what a father is, no clue, none whatsoever. She doesn't have a bad father, she doesn't have a good father, she doesn't even know what a father is. The only thing that she could relate to is my voice. When she was still in the mother's womb, she could hear my voice, so I presumed.
Interesting.
So my view was like, I have to up my game here. I can't run away.
Yeah.
I have to up my game. And then it hit me that I have to do something different. Not different because I had a bad experience as a child, but different in the sense that this is an opportunity to start something afresh. Something that the child can refer back to and say, my father is 1, 2, 3, or my father does this, or this is the type of a person my father is.
You make reference to the fatherhood as you perceived it when you were growing up. Take us through what you knew as a father, what you wanted to carry through to you being a father, and what you wanted to live out, and why.
What I knew was that a father was a provider. That was the first thing. The second one was that a father is disciplinary.
Yes, yes.
And that he sets the rules. What I also learned that a father doesn't have to follow the same rules that he set up.
And then the double standards.
Yeah, I had a problem with that. I always wanted to do things differently in the sense that if I set the rule, I have to follow it.
Lead by example.
Lead by example, but no, we are not the same. Everybody must have their role in the hierarchy. If I'm a father, the rules that apply to a child don't necessarily apply to me. In a sense that they shouldn't be unfair.
Yes, fairness is very important.
There should still be godly rules. But if I say to the child, they have to be home at 6 o'clock, and I cannot be home at 6 o'clock because I've got another engagement, maybe at work or something that is beneficial to the family, that gives me room not to be home at 6. But my children will say, no, but you said 6.
Yeah,
you do not
they
say
will hold
reasons.
you accountable.
They will
Enough
not
better
say,
about kids.
yeah, your reasons are. They'll just say, no, but you're not here at 6. It's unfair. So then I thought, no, but certain rules should apply here, others should apply there, others should apply there. But however, I think it's very, very important to lead by example.
And from the example that you're making, what I'm picking up is that engaging with the kids, having an ongoing conversation with them, that it will happen with you as a father, the leader of the household, the provider, that sometimes you cannot adhere to the same rules you've put in the household, but you need to engage your family, your kids especially, to say, I couldn't be at 6, I couldn't be at home at 6 because, but it doesn't change the fact that you as the kids, I need you in the house at 6.
Yes, perfectly put. The engagement is very important. I also think what's more important is the context as well. The context of the rule and why it has to be followed. I mean, rules are fine as a guideline.
As a guideline.
However, if you don't understand the concept behind the rules, it becomes very, very difficult to navigate on things which are not on the list of the rules. Let's say you come home at 6, and then a person is now at varsity, they have to attend, or at high school, they have to be wherever later. Then they say, no, but your rule said 6. So
yeah.
So I think if we take our Christianity, for example, that in the Old Testament, we talked about rules.
Yes.
In the New Testament, we talked about interpretation of the rules. That what's most important is the interpretation, so that you do not specify all the things that one should not do. You just give an overall understanding that if it's going to take you away from God, don't do it. If it's going to hurt another person, don't do it. So that those are the basic. Instead of saying you can't come at 6, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. Anything which you have not put on the list, then they do it. Then they say, but it was not the rule.
Yeah.
If I had not said don't smoke in my house, then say, no, but you didn't put it was not the rule. So the notion of rules as the children grow older, the conversation changes to the concepts. It changes from do this, do that, to what does this mean? How does this make you feel? How do you think it makes the next person feel? How do you think God views you when you do one, two, three?
I'm so glad you referred to God. 'Cause then I'm interested in knowing, and I hope some of our viewers are also interested in knowing, how has God played a role in your life in the journey of fatherhood, and how has knowing God helped guide you in being the kind of father that you turned out to be?
It's it's simple but complicated at the same time. I grew up in a church. I've been an altar server for the longest of times. And I got to see priests as people, not just as spiritual leaders, but as people. And I saw, no, these people are like me and you. They are flawed. And then I could see how they relate to the bishops. They could say certain things and they can't say certain things. Their behavior changed. And I always thought, if these people are the people that are bringing me closer to God, but they're behaving in this way, it created a huge conflict in me. And then later in my childhood, I lost my father. Then after that was like, okay, I don't have a physical father.
The point of reference now.
Figure now, but everybody clapped in that the uncles where they had never had the feeling of loss in terms of having a father. However, then I got to learn about God, that God is here, God is there, God is everywhere.
He's the father to the fatherless.
He's the father to the fatherless, to those with fathers.
Yes.
He's everything. And I was like, okay, so if God is there and He has put me here and entrusted me to be a father, to guide the children who are His, then that means I have to up my game, you know. It doesn't say God loves us because we do 1, 2, 3. Just says God loves us. Then that's it. No condition.
Now tell me, how do you engage? You've got 3 girls and 2 boys. Is the way that you engage with your girls different to the way you engage with your boys, or it depends? You tackle the engagement based on the personality of each child?
I try to engage according to the personalities. However, there's this notion that boys and girls are the same. In the recent years, there have been a drive to say, no, we are all equal. Well, we are in front of the law. We are all the same. We should be allowed to do the same things and so on. And I subscribe to that. However, girls are not boys and boys are not girls. I can't talk about sanitary towels with the boys the way that I would do with the girls. However, on things that are not gender-based, doing the chores in the house, everybody has to do their part. So in terms of that, there's no differentiation. However, in other engagements, there's a differentiation. Girls are quick to understand when you speak to them. They're quick to engage. Boys are quick to see and relate on visual than on what they hear. If you say do this and you show them how to do it, they're quick to grasp it. But girls, you can just say do this and they can figure it out. In the kitchen, the girls are comfortable. The boys are kind of slowly into it, but
it's in us as girls to be comfortable.
Yeah, but when we're outside, it's the boys that are engaged. They want to wash the car, they want to do the garden. I have not set boundaries as to what the one can do and what the others can do. But I've noticed that they are different. So I have to relate to them in the way that they can understand and in the way that I need to understand them. So there is that difference, but there is that similarity as well.
Yeah. There's a favorite saying of mine. Well, it's not even mine, but I love using it. That says, next to God, thy parents. And the best way a father can show his love to his kids is by loving their mother.
Oh yes, I've heard
Yes,
that.
please elaborate. I want to hear you.
When you talk about love as a concept, it's an abstract idea.
Mm,
And also, love can be, we say God is love. Also, love can be a verb, you know. So every time when they see me and mommy together, they would giggle and be behind in the corner. Hey, Baya Joel,
yeah,
Baya Joel,
yeah.
Baya Joel. And then one day the one would come, Daddy, do you love mommy? And then I say, yes. And then say, mommy, do you love daddy? She says, yes. Okay, Daddy, kiss mommy then.
Yeah, kids and kissing.
Yes, so then they get engaged with other kids at school whose parents are going through difficult times.
Yes.
And then they come and then they ask, what is divorce? So and so's parents are not doing fine. My friend is hurt and so on. So
Mm,
my relationship with their mother reassures them that there's a possibility that we can live in peace. We can live in a loving environment.
yes.
We can live in a space where we know God and can see God differently.
Mm,
So it's something that we have to think about every day with our engagements. It's not only when I talk to them that I engage with them. As I engage with their mother, they are listening
mm. And watching.
and watching.
Yes, and watching.
And you think that they won't be listening, they'll be sitting there. And then you just hear one commenting, daddy, or mommy. This other time, the man was saying, you don't love me anymore.
Mm,
And before I could respond, it was one of the kids who responded, man, how can you say that daddy loves you?
yeah.
You know?
Now suddenly you have spokespeople in the
Yeah,
house.
and I don't have to say anything.
Mm,
I mean, I don't have to say anything. So that really shows that we have to be conscious about
yes.
our interactions.
Yes.
We have to be decisive. We have to be intentional about how we do things. It might not mean a lot to me, but it might mean everything to the next person.
Mm, mm,
So, as a father, that's a very huge task.
yeah.
I remember one of my friends was saying, am I aware that I've got 5 generations that I'm influencing?
Yes.
Even without saying a word, there will be 5 generations
Mm,
that are going to be making reference to me to say, Umkhulu watho, our grandfather did this, or in my home, this is how things are done. I mean, now I'm an adult and I still make reference to things that happen at home.
yeah.
I mean, I try to shy away from commenting on the cooking and making reference with my mom's cooking because I've learned that certain things are out of
Yes.
bounds.
Yes.
But the fact that I can think about that means there was an experience
Yeah.
there, you know. So I should afford the kids the same opportunity to have more of good experiences
Mm, mm,
and less of the bad ones where I can.
mm. What you're talking about is what I refer to as leaving a legacy.
Mhm.
And what kind of a legacy do you have in mind? And how are you starting to plant those seeds in the 5 generations you're talking about?
Yeah.
Does it ever end? Does it ever end planting those seeds? Because
No,
I always
listen.
say, with my kids, and I always mention this to anyone who cares to listen, Uguti, I'm not raising my kids. I'm raising somebody's boyfriend. I'm
Yes,
raising
yes.
somebody's husband. I'm raising an influential figure in the community. I'm raising a responsible citizen. I'm raising a leader, irrespective of the gender.
Of course.
So when I say this, or when me and the father say this goes, this doesn't, this is how we do things, we're already thinking ahead of the fact that how is this that we are planting now going to benefit the country? It's bigger than just us in the house.
Of course. That's that's very profound. I think what I'm trying to teach them is the love of God, firstly, and also secondly, to be considerate. But I think the most practical thing that I try to teach them is respect. There's this notion that respect is earned, and I don't particularly agree with it, but I don't disagree. However, I think you have to be respectful, regardless of whether the next person deserves the respect or not. So it has to be me giving respect, not me receiving respect. If I do receive it, then that's a bonus. However, I hope to teach them that you don't have to alter the way you behave because of the reception of the next person.
The next person.
You know, in marriage, when I engage with other guys, I always say, guys, when we take our vows, we say, I will do 1, 2, 3. Nowhere do you say, I'll do 1, 2, 3 if my wife does.
Yeah, they say the moment you involve the if,
there's no dependency on the reception. So I hope I can be able to teach my kids that do good, irrespective of the feedback. The same even at work. A person will do work and produce a report, and the report might just end up in the bin, and they'll be so despondent that after so much work that after I said, oh, you know the effort that you put, you know where your intentions were, and just because I, as the recipient of it, did not, it was not in line with what I had in mind, does not mean it's not worthy. I might not use it, but you still did the work. You must tap yourself on the shoulder and say, well done. So I hope I can be able to teach them that, to say, do the best that you can, be respectful, be loving, don't get easily influenced by the reception of the other person, which is very difficult.
There's quotes I found on Pinterest. In this household, we laugh, we cry, we forgive, we say sorry. And out here, it's something that I try and instill in my kids. And your kids, because they'll hold you accountable. Then my little girl will do something and then say, Mommy, I'm sorry. But then I'm still going ahead. But mommy, in this household, we say we forgive when somebody has said sorry.
Wow.
And I can't now keep on.
No, you can't.
I need to remind myself that I'm the one instilling this thing. So I cannot turn around when it suits me to say, no, but I will forgive you once I'm done getting over the fact that I'm upset with what you did.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The apology from parent to child.
Yeah.
We never saw that when we were growing up.
Oh no.
Even now in our adulthood, you just see the changing behavior that the person is trying to apologize. But I would never expect my parents to say, we are sorry, we wronged you.
It was unheard of.
It's always, no, but you made me do that, therefore it's your fault.
Yeah.
So it's something that I'm learning as well, to say sorry to your child. Did I hurt your feelings? Okay, I'm sorry. And not even put in the same conversation why I did that as a result of them triggering me to do what I did. So we learn as you go, and our children are forcing us to grow, and they hold us accountable, like you're saying. We have to look back and say, no, these are the rules that I put, or these are the guidelines. Did I use the same guidelines? Did you use the same guidelines? Then we have to be very, very careful about what we say and how we say it. I think also when we are not present, the kids should be able to know what to do when they're faced with situations. They will say, hey, if Manu was here, I would do 1, 2, 3, or this wouldn't have happened in this way. If they was here, you hear that when you get home from work, then they say, so and so did this, so and so did that, this, and then ask, so what did you do? No, I told them that you do not like us when we do 1, 2, 3, so I did not do it. So I said, but you were there, you watched them do it. No, I didn't want to be left out, so I took part as well, which is very interesting in that they also learn to negotiate. Oh, they can swing you with the kids.
Because they know that they have us wrapped up in their little fingers.
They are good. So sometimes you just have to give in their conversations or in their trying to get something or in them trying to get out of situations. You just say, okay. So they did think this through. They did see what I'm going to say. They thought about what I'm going to do. So, you know, then you just turn a blind eye.
Yes, yes. Because there's a learning, even when
Yes,
you're not
yes,
saying
yes,
anything,
yes,
there's a
yes.
learning that they're able to navigate
Mm.
amongst themselves and come up with a decision that when you look and you're like, I haven't done well, I haven't done too bad as a parent.
Yes, yes, and that's so refreshing
Mm,
when you
mm,
look back and you see them making decisions. Oh, okay.
mm.
I wouldn't have thought about that.
Yeah. So we learn from them too.
No, we do.
They teach us a
We
lot.
do. I mean, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be a father.
True,
So the honor goes to them.
true. But I also always say, just because God hasn't blessed you with being a father doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot be a father figure to other kids,
Of course,
because
of
it
course.
extends beyond your
Mm,
gate.
mm,
When
mm.
you leave your household and you leave your the outside of your gate, then you realize how much influence you have on other kids in your neighborhood,
Mm,
and how much they will look
mm,
up to
mm.
you.
No, you are right. I've got another friend who said they were invited to a school by a niece, I think he said,
Mm.
and he was like, "But I'm not a father." They said it's child,
Yeah,
father, child,
yeah.
what, and this child invited me. And I was like, "Yeah, so that means you're a father."
Yeah,
Uh,
somebody sees you as a
you're a
father.
father, regardless
Mm.
of where you position yourself, because in conversations, this guy would always isolate himself when we talk about parenting. He was like, I'm not a parent as yet, so I'm excluded from this conversation. And you would conveniently take sidelines, and not even participate. But when he was faced with that, then I said, do you realize that you're a father?
Mm.
Do you realize
Mm.
that there is a child that sees you as a father figure? Regardless of the biology
Yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
you are a father to them.
Mm.
When you walk into a space and there are children, Bati Baba, Sabona Baba.
Mm.
I was like, yeah, so we are father by virtue of being born males and being of certain age, we are fathers,
Yes.
like it or
Like
not.
it or not.
And it's very important to be aware of the position that you hold, even if you do not put yourself there.
Because you don't live in a bubble.
Of course.
Somebody's watching. Even if you think you live in a bubble, chances are the bubble is transparent. So somebody is still watching.
Yes, and I would hate to be the one who pushes people away from God with my behavior.
Mm. Mm.
And then the person says, if that Rafoneke can do this as a father, who am I? Or it means God is useless, or God is this and God is that. I That's my fear when I engage. That's my fear when I do things. That how is my behavior being interpreted by those that I'm not even interacting with,
Yeah.
the watchers?
Yeah.
Are they seeing the glory of God in my behavior? Are they seeing the need to be better people? What are they seeing?
Mm. Mm.
So I'll rather on the good side than on the bad side, because it's a huge responsibility.
Responsibility. The other day, my husband and I were watching the Tiger Woods documentary,
Yes, yes.
and we were watching how this boy was groomed from a very young age, and by the father, and the influence the father had. But then it also came on the next episode that the father had some smallanyana skeletons that he was, but he didn't even hide.
Mm,
He did them in public
mm,
view
mm,
of his son.
mm,
And I was even saying to my husband, why is it that as human beings we grow up seeing something, we don't like it, and you think that when they grow up they'll change the narrative, but they find themselves doing the very same thing that angered them, like Tiger Woods. He ended up having all these extramarital affairs, irrespective of how it's justified in the documentary, that no, it was his outlet. He was letting out because only in Las Vegas he was able to be that was not seen. He was Tiger Woods, not Tiger Woods the golfer. And I'm like, nonsense. The responsibility never goes away.
You are right. I've seen that as well. Before I got married, I had a friend who married before me. So his father was abusive. Well, then we didn't know that that was abuse. We knew that if we throw a ball in the yard, we are going to get hiding.
Yeah.
If we are playing on the road, we are going to get hiding. That's we saw him as a disciplinarian. And every time he hit his wife, we thought it was justifiable. And my friend hated that, with a passion. He hated violence. And he was, the moment he got married, they had a fight with the wife, and then he beat his wife. I was like, dude, what happened?
Like, how now?
Oh, what happened? And then he said to me, no, you don't understand because you're not married. Then I got married, and then we had the discussion again. I say, I'm married now. Let's have that discussion again. Why were you being abusive to your wife after we had committed to each other that this is not the type of husbands we want to be?
Yes.
And he couldn't answer me. And I started to engage with other people as well. And then someone said to me, it's a default setting. That's a setting that we know. We might not want it, but that's a setting that we know. When we are out of options, that's what we revert back to. So what we need to learn is to find ways to find options where there are no options. Once you learn to look for other options, the moment you feel that this is it, there are no more options, that's the moment when you need to sit back and say, I have to look for other options. I'm not going back there. I am not going back there. There's I'm not sure whether it's a Chinese proverb or it's Japanese, where they say it's only when a mosquito sits on your main parts that you know that violence is not always the answer.
Yay!
Because
I'm gonna look for that from I need the deeper understanding.
You only then will you realize, no, I can't just use violence. It's going to hurt me more than the one that I want to hurt. So the moment you feel that you have hit a brick wall, the moment that you feel that you're in a pit, there's no way out, and the only way out is to cause harm,
inflict
pain, is to kill, that's the moment when you need to reach out to God or reach out to whoever.
Ask for help.
Sometimes we don't even know that we need help.
Yeah.
Hey? We don't even know that we need help. But the moment you find yourself optionless, that's the moment that you need to
take a step back and
pause a little bit, breathe.
Walk away and come back.
Walk away if you have to, but don't go too far.
Don't go too far. You need to come back.
Yes, you need to come back. I was telling the other young couple that when you fight, don't fight as if you're not going to make peace.
Yes.
You should not fight with all your energy, all your might. Fight, reserve some. Should things turn out in a good way, you still have to go.
Those are difficult lessons.
No, they are very difficult.
They are very difficult.
But I've earned the right to give such advice.
Yes.
And I say with my head held up high, when a person
with conviction,
they've been married for a year or 2 years, and then I say, yeah, this woman. The one that I like most is when they say, I can't understand. But this one, I'm so useless. Hannah Kelly, wizard this, wizard that. Then I say, okay. At what point did you realize that this woman is stupid? Was it before you married her or after you married her? Then they were Yeah, she's always been like that, even from childhood. And I said, okay. So you know that this woman is stupid.
You still married her.
You still went ahead and married her.
Mm.
Now that you are reaping the benefits of her stupidity, you feel justified to behave the way that you are behaving.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of those friendships have ended um, because you couldn't get past that question.
Friendships do end when you get too close to the truth.
I suppose. I
But
suppose.
I also know that friendships get mended once people
Of
realize
course,
that
of
there
course,
was a truth to what you're saying and you meant well.
of course. I could be wrong, you know. Then I still expect my friend to come back and say, I thought about what you said. I think you are mistaken. And then we tackle it, and then I take the advice, and
Mm.
then we move on. So I want to get my kids to that stage whereby they can be able to give advice if they have to give advice, or to make a decision with conviction that I know I have done one, two, three,
Yes,
uh,
yes.
the best way that I could. Therefore, 4, 5, 6 should follow suit. Whether we fail or we don't fail does not take away the effort
Mm.
and the intention.
Mm. So this latter discussion to me brings in the point of stereotypes and narratives that we've been brought up under. But then now that we know better and we want to change some of the things and some of the learnings we learned, and through our kids we unlearn some of them,
Mm.
how do your the picture you're drawing for your kids of fatherhood, how do you see it influencing and changing the stereotypes and changing the narrative going forward?
Hey, that's a very difficult question. I think the other thing when we engage is when you get information from another person, a person gives you information voluntarily. You must understand where they are coming from and what the intention of the information is.
Mm.
And then you must personalize it and see how is this channeling me towards what I want to achieve. So the picture that I have in mind is very fluid, you know. No straight lines, no sharp corners, but
Not black and white.
not black and white, but it's there. You can make reference to it. So I hope that the kids can build their own picture
Mm-hmm.
using as much of building material from the lessons that I teach them,
Yes.
but also making them aware that I don't know everything. Even though I seem like I know everything to them, there will always be somebody who might know something that I don't.
Mm.
And when they get that information, they must look at it with reference to what they already know and see, is this information taking me to where I am going,
Yes.
or is it taking me further
Because
away from where I need to go?
mm.
So the stereotypes and the agendas around the stereotypes are difficult to exclude in conversations. However, we also need to be aware the moment we start to think of things in a way that we shouldn't be thinking.
Mm. Mm.
I mean, the other typical thing when we talk about stereotype is I've noticed, or I've decided that mothers, the difference between mothers and fathers is that fathers know that they cannot be mothers.
Mm.
Fathers, they know that very well.
Are you touching on something?
So
Ooh,
some of
okay.
these stereotypes are based on what the other person think the other person should be.
Mm.
And I hope I can master fatherhood in such a way that they can be able to see that this is the father, this is the mother.
Mm. Can the roles not be diluted?
Can they not be diluted just because I can do things that a mother can do and the mother can do things that the father can do? Does not make me a mother, does not make the mother the
Mm.
father.
But Malebo, I'm not trying to defend my gender, but social media, uh, family courts, all these places are inundated with women who are saying, my father's child doesn't want to be part of my child's life, of his child's life.
Mm.
I mean, it brings back Haboma hashtag Ndonton.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I'm not gonna call the hashtags because I don't subscribe to them for a reason. But sometimes you listen to these stories and you read what these women are saying and you feel you can't blame them.
Of course.
So what would you say? Because there are three sides to the story.
No, there are
There's
more.
the mother's side, the father's side, and the truth.
Yes.
So when a father says, I've been trying to be part of my child's life, but this woman keeps blocking me, keeps block because I'm not doing A, B, and C. This woman keeps demanding money. I'm saying I don't have money, but I have the love to give to my child. And the mother would be, I've tried everything.
To
This
involve you.
father says, I am not getting involved. Take your child and sort them out. I don't want to be part of it. And there's a child who says, my father deserted me. There's also a child that says, my mother kept me away from the father. And then there's the truth, however it looks like. Can you speak to the guys?
You know, no, I'll speak.
And the women, maybe.
I'll
Just
speak.
say something. Just enlighten us on that.
You know, there are facts, and then there's the truth.
Mm.
Then there's interpretation of the facts and interpretation of the truth.
Mm.
Then there is perceptions. There are perceptions. Then there is me interpreting or personalizing all this.
Then there's the influence from the society and where we come from.
Everything.
Everything.
So I think we need to take a step back.
As mothers, as fathers, as both, as
Everyone,
parents.
everyone must just pause.
Okay.
Pause.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit. There's one gentleman that you might know who said to me this other time, before you tackle a problem, you need to know where the problem comes from. What is the seed that germinated into this problem? Then you also, in the discussion, take it a step further. What were the conditions of the soil where the seed was planted? What were the other factors that influenced how the seed would grow? So it's not just the root cause of the problem. It's also, why is that root cause a problem in itself? So the fights and the misunderstandings and
misconceptions.
We all just need to pause and say, to me, how does this make me feel? And then evaluate, how did I contribute to me feeling the way that I feel? Because the notion that if a father is not physically present, that the father is absent, is wrong. Because you could not be there physically, but you could be teaching the child how to fend for themselves in the absence of someone who has to provide.
But Malebo, when the father is not there, he's not there.
Yes, but you can't take away the fact that you have learned to fend for yourself in ways that you wouldn't have learned if the father was there.
Okay, all right.
So you can decide to look at the father being absent, or you can decide to look at the opportunities that were presented by him not being there.
Sure. And to the fathers who just decided not to be there? and not realizing the contribution their decisions
Now
are making to
to
the child, to the society, to the country. This thing is big.
I would say to the fathers, we have a responsibility, whether we like it or not.
Mm.
I might not be there for at least one child, but I could be there for the community children. Take,
Yeah.
for instance, this prominent businessmen, the politicians, the leaders, everybody that we look up to who has been successful in those spaces, not everybody, sorry. The majority that we see, when you look at their kids, it's a different story
Yeah.
altogether.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at priests and you look at their children and you look at their behavior. This is the guy who, the man who has guided all of
All
us,
of us.
all 100 of us.
Marushula mtanaki.
But like, so from the child's perspective, that father cannot be the best father. But from the other 100,
Yeah.
he's the best. So we as fathers, just because we failed one child or two children, or does not mean we have failures. For as long as we are still alive, there's still an opportunity to turn things around. Just because I'm not there for the child that I had some years back, for whatever reason, does not mean I should sit in my corner and mope and say, no, that woman does not want to give me access to the child. Therefore, all these other children, I cannot love them because I'm failing to love that
one.
Learn to love with these ones. And with what you have learned by loving these ones, you can use the same love and start to navigate your way back to those ones that you have left behind.
Sure, I like that. Yeah, guys, nizwele, ne? Ubaba Rafoneke has tried his best to share with us everything that he's learning, he has learned, he continues to learn about fatherhood. Now the honors lies in you fathers out there. You know, in where you are, you know the song, Why Don't You Brighten the Corner Where You Are? Where you are, brighten that corner. You know, when you look at the content, yabo khumbule ekhaya, utatakho, riyatsotela, we don't need such programs. Why kuhama stories ethu kuphela? Why are we black people always willing to tell our sorry stories, often with no happy ending? And instead gokuthi sifunde to do things right. As parents, as fathers, we all have a role to play. Because lo mntwana uzokhula abe, it's up to us to decide ukuthi what kind of adult am I bringing up in this child. So we need to live by example, lead by example, influence these kids so that they are better parents, better fathers, better boyfriends. And we need to start having these conversations with our kids from an early age. Lento yokubalekela ukuthi umntana at some point uzojola nokuthi when are you starting to tackle the subject yokujola, the sooner the better, because if we don't plant those seeds now, bazozithola estradeni. So can we start talking about with our children about such things from ekhaya? Can we stop shying away from these conversations about how to be a good parent, a good father, a good boyfriend? This is how a good man turns out. And we also need to be careful. You know, it is said that 70% of your communication is through non-verbal. 23% is through verbal. I mean, it's through tone. And only 7% is through what we say. So, how we act in front of our kids, they are watching. They are watching. And one day they will hold us accountable. And one day God is going to hold us accountable. So, we need to be careful what we do and how we do it in front of our kids, because we are not raising our sons, we are raising nation builders. we are raising men of high importance, and we need to be conscious of the fact that we need to raise men of noble character. Thank you. That was it today on The Couch with Nomzamo. Until next time. And Malebo, thank you so much for the insights you've shared with us. Everybody, bye-bye.